Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Joining us through Zoom is State Senator Mark Messmer. Senator, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, although it's virtually rather than in person. I prefer the in-person chats myself better, but we'll get that synced up here in a week or two.
Yeah, things will get back to normal after a while. Let's talk about some things that have happened in the Senate this week. You have Senate Bill 1 that you authored, and the Civil Immunity Bill. Let's talk about that.
Okay, super. Well, that bill, as it came out of committee and got to the floor, what the bill does now is provides immunity from someone saying, hey, Bill gave me COVID, or, whether it's at a place of business, at your church, volunteer organization. It covers every situation. All people. We made the definition of who a person is very broad intentionally. And so if someone says they got, COVID, they have to show that you committed gross negligence, willful and wanton misconduct, fraud, or an intentional tortious act, which that has a definition in code. But you have to flagrantly violate health standards for someone to say, and they have to be able to prove they got it from you with clear and convincing evidence. So, if it's clear, you gave COVID to someone, we're gross negligent in your behavior, this bill won't protect you. But unless you meet that standard, whether you're a business, a volunteer organization, nonprofit group, school, church, schools are protected. It'll keep people from filing lawsuits. Well, they could still file it, but they probably won't have much of a chance to prevail. And it should just discourage frivolous lawsuits. Even a frivolous lawsuit, if you're a small business, you probably don't have $50,000 or $100,000 in cash just laying around, to fight. What would might end up ultimately dismissed, or you would win. But the cost of defending is punitive. To a small business. Bigger businesses could probably afford to fight it, write it off, or end up absorbing it. But small business owners or nonprofit groups really cannot. So the bill was passed out of the Senate this week, 40-8. It was bipartisan support, bipartisan authorship, and it goes to the House. We'll have the hearing on that bill next Tuesday at 11:30 in the House Judiciary Committee. We're going to move that one, on a fast track pace, and it also protects people who not only, individuals, business, and nonprofit groups, companies in Indiana that went into PPE, personal protective equipment, production this past year to help fill the voids of masks, gowns, shields, gloves, hand sanitizer. People that went into produced items, strictly, for the COVID-19, reacting to the shortages of supplies. A lot of companies, shifted their production, to fill the voids for medical workers, nursing home workers, businesses, they stepped up, filled the void. And so we're going to protect people that shifted their, production to COVID-19 supply chain from being sued for, from COVID-19 related lawsuits as well. It doesn't stop anybody from going after somebody, someone for a criminal act. The manufacturers of PPE have the same standard of gross negligence, willful and wanton misconduct, fraud. So if somebody mislabels something that they made as 70% alcohol, hand sanitizer, when in fact they knew it was 50%, they're not going to get protected if they intentionally, mislabeled some product or sold something, an N95 mask that they knew was not, things like that. They won't be protected from a civil lawsuit, but should cover pretty well everybody else in most situations. We had requests from different organizations to look at maybe some of their contracts that they had and contract law. We really can't venture down that path because the Constitution prohibits you from passing a law that's retroactive, because the civil suits look back to March 1st and protect everybody from, when the COVID state of emergency began. If you backdate a contract law provision that blocks someone's ability to sue for a contract they had during that time. That's a constitutional violation. So as much as we'd be interested in helping folks in some of those scenarios, we really can't. And so that bill is, should be through the House within the next 2 weeks. And I know we're going to have to do some slight cleanup on some language that we passed in the Senate. That as it moved through with it up, that there were some references that were the wrong code sites. But we'll get that amended in the House next week. We'll concur to the changes when it comes back from the House in about 2 weeks, and it'll be off to the governor's desk for signature. So very excited about that.
And that'll be one of the first bills that got passed this session.
It will be. We've got a House bill that we've got that we're hearing, starting next week as well. It's House Bill 1056. And last year they passed a bill that had to do with recording deeds, and somewhere along the way through the process of amending it, they ended up with requiring 2 notaries, to record, a deed, which is, it was again, a mistake in how they drafted an amendment, and it should have said or instead of and. And so now if somebody has something they need to file with, with a property deed, they've got to have two people notarize the same piece of, the same legal document, which is unnecessary completely. So that one's getting fast tracked as well. And that bill went into effect July 1st last year. So it'll be retroactive back to July 1st of 2020. So those 2 pieces are getting the fast track pace, and we'll have that House bill through our chamber probably within the next, week and a half. And that as well will be off to the governor's desk. So that was one that was really needed to be clarified. Folks in the title business caught that mistake quick last summer, but there wasn't much we could do about it until we got here. And so we're speeding that one along and getting that one on the fast track pace as well. So with that, I think we had 15 other bills that we passed in the Senate this week for final passage. And then did had another bill come out of committee that I'm pretty happy about as well.
Okay, then that's the one with having to do with the missing person. That's kind of
Yes.
how that developed. If you talk about that, please.
Sure. So back in 2014, there was a Christy Kelly from Boonville that was listed as a missing person for about a month. The last place she had been seen, I think, was at a VFW. And the bartender there was the last person to see her. When she went missing, she had left her phone in the bathroom, of the bar, and her parents thought that was very odd that she would have left, with that not in her possession. She was gone, for about a month. That nobody could, they couldn't find her. They ended up finding her in a coal mine. Strip pit lake about 4 miles out of town about a month later, and she was found in the back hatch of her vehicle, not in the driver's seat. Her car was in park. There was just a lot of unusual scenarios. They found some debris from her car, a couple miles up the road. Damage to the car that didn't happen from the vehicle going into the lake. And after her body was found, the sheriff immediately listed it as an accidental drowning and would not do a criminal investigation, no matter what information the family brought to him. And so what this bill would do in that situation where there's a death incident, and it can't be anything that's a death related to medical issues, so we're staying out of the medical malpractice scenario. But if you have a death situation, you're a close family member, local law enforcement, whether it be a city police department or a county sheriff, and they won't do a death investigation. It allows the family, the close family, to go to the state police, present their evidence, and ask them, to conduct an investigation. The state police has the right to look at the information that they've brought to them and determine if a death investigation, criminal investigation is warranted or not. So we don't burden them with, drug shootings, in downtown Indy where, you'll probably never find a witness, to those crimes. You don't, I mean, we didn't want to make it to where they had to deal with, the hundreds of unsolved cases where there is no evidence to be had. But in this situation, it will allow family to bring it to state police, let them look at it, review it, and then, if it looks warranted, they can take that case and do their own death investigation. And so the family in Boonville came up to testify Tuesday in our committee hearing on that bill, and they were very thankful for the opportunity to have an opportunity to potentially get this death of their daughter investigated and give them some closure. So very happy. It passed out of committee 9-0. We'll have it on the floor next week and should pass out of second reading, probably Monday, final passage on Tuesday. So looking forward to that bill moving over to the House, and I've got a Representative Bartels is going to be my House sponsor on that bill. So looking forward to that.
All right. Now, not that you do a lot of fun things, but one of the fun bills that kind of gets some motion or happened this week is I don't know what to call it, the popcorn bill. What is it? Yes,
the popcorn bill. So we kid our Senate author on that a little bit, but every once in a while we do get to do some fun things. And so Senate Bill 97, Senator Grooms was the author of that bill. It's to designate the state snack. We don't have an official state snack as popcorn as our official state snack. I think Indiana might be the #2 popcorn producer in the country, or I think we're pretty close. I know we're not #1, probably used to be #1, but we do have a very large, popcorn producing presence, in Indiana. And so he thought it would be appropriate to get Indiana's official state snack designated as popcorn. So that bill passed out. I think it was 44 to 5. We did have a few people, thought it was unnecessary to mess with that. But sometime we do. A few years ago, probably my first year in the House, I think we had the official state pie that we had designated. I think the cream pie is the official state pie, and we've had other. I think a couple of years ago we had the official state insect was the firefly. So those are. Sometimes people look at that as maybe a little silly, but when Senator Grooms goes to the microphone, we do a little pop, 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 as he's walking to the microphone now, just to have a little fun with him. But so we try not to be, overly serious all the time.
That sounds perfect to me. Well, Senator, thank you very much for taking the time and talking with us today.
You're welcome. We'll do another one either by Zoom or in person next week.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of see how things go this week. Thank you very much for being our guest. Our guest has been State Senator Mark Messmer, who joined us on WJTS Inform. Thank you for watching. We are local people watching local people.